It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
Oh my goodness, the sunshine is here, and I think it's here to stay.
Yeah, I got my sunglasses on. I'm ready for the season, baby.
Even with the sun shining, it's a perfect time for your cup of coffee right here at Slumberland at the lake. And this week, Uncle Chris, man, a lot of local headlines.
Well, and a lot of big ones, too. We finally get charges against Ike Skelton. There's some problem with the commissioners and their former attorney. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff here to talk about today.
Plus, the Shootout move to their new location looks closer to a reality. We get an update from developer Jeff Tegethoff. Plus, we got to attend together the CVB annual banquet.
Yeah.
And the Partner in Tourism Award was special this year. We're going to tell you all about that. Plus, March, baby. That means two things. Lots of birthdays, lots of anniversaries, and lots of basketball. And we got my March Madness bracket challenge. Someone's about to win $750 in stakes.
Can we win that?
We can.
I win that? Really?
But I've seen all of us here fill out our brackets, and so it's not likely that any of us win the stakes.
Although I always beat you in the bracket challenge.
That's like being better than, never mind. So hey, on
it's like
the other
being
side
better than the Bills, you know? I mean, it happens every year, right?
Okay, this is getting deep. On the other side of this message from Slumberland at the lake, we're going to dive into all of that and a whole lot more.
Hey everybody, it's Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. Are you wanting to spruce things up around the house this spring? Well, come check out our spring home sale. We've got discounts for furniture in every room of the house, 0% interest financing for up to 36 months, and don't forget, we deliver the entire lake area. So come check it out, Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
All right, back here on Cup of Coffee, Slumberland at the lake. Before we get into it, I want to give a shout out to my barber. You know?
Yeah, you got one?
Yeah.
I didn't think you had one for the last few years.
Listen, well, just here recently, I've had a lot of compliments. I've changed the hairstyle, and I wanted to give a shout out to Dina Hopkins with In His Image Salon in Greenview. A lot of people, if you're like me, you like simple. You don't like the over-the-top extravagant experience at the salon. Listen, walk-ins welcome, $20 for a men's cut. You can get your beard trimmed, touched up, looks great. Now, she also does colors and perms. They do petties and manis in there. But the cool thing is walk-ins are welcome. It's right there next to Subway in Greenview. So close to the office. I love being able to go up there. And if you know me, I don't schedule everything. So if I'm able just to sneak in there and get a haircut, she's awesome. And so I appreciate her. And I just wanted to give her a shout out. Sometimes we don't take time to thank those that do important things for us.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. I think we were together at some point in the last couple of weeks where didn't somebody actually come up to you and say, boy, I'm sure glad you grew your hair out or something like that, right?
Their exact words were, I just got to tell you, I am so glad that you decided to go away from that short military style that you were doing, because it was,
I thought it looked pretty good on you. You know, one half was shaved and the other half was long and crazy.
Luckily for us, people more want to hear what we have to say and not what we look like, and that is a real blessing. Our first local story this week, a follow-up from a week ago. I told you about the two undocumented individuals that were charged in Benton County because the young child was found, right? Walking on Highway W, no shoes, no socks, no coat, and it was ice and snow.
Icy and snowy.
On the ground.
Yeah, little kids just walking, like a 2-year-old kid, right? Something like that.
Our initial story came from KRMS. Well, I reached out to Benton County, and they told me that, me and Salvador Carlos, where the story we did, the 21-year-old, said that Salvador Carlos is not classified as an undocumented immigrant, as her U.S. citizenship status has been verified. However, Salvador Merced Rodriguez, the older, her boyfriend, was not recognized as a legal resident. Remember, we had questions, so what happens now, right? And the jurisdiction over immigration status falls under federal law, specifically the appropriate federal authorities, including U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE. And they've been notified. This is weird, though. They're both entitled to due process under the Missouri State criminal justice system, and so they'll proceed through standard legal proceedings. That includes the preliminary hearing. According to Rule 22.08 of the Missouri Supreme Court, they get a preliminary hearing, and then if they get formally charged, they'll get a trial and a sentencing if they're convicted. Now, only after the resolution of these legal proceedings, including any imposed penalties, will federal authorities determine the appropriate course of action regarding Merced Rodriguez's immigration status and then potential removal from the U.S. This is according to Kelly Lowe from Benton County Sheriff's Office. And so they're going to go through all the processes, it looks like, right here in Benton County, even with, as I said, Merced Rodriguez being an undocumented individual and illegal immigrant.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. And of course, this is a big question in our country today, is what to do about illegal immigrants who commit crimes, right? And you know, in cities like Boston, the sanctuary cities, Boston, Chicago, New York, a lot of times these immigrants will commit crimes and then be let right back out on the street. I mean, what is safe about that, right? You know, they're not even going through this due process to find out if they should be in jail or what. They're just put right out on the street and puts more of the American citizens in jeopardy there. So in that case, I think what ICE is doing is going in, finding these people, picking them up off the street, and then taking them out of the country. In this case, here in Missouri, they're not letting them back out on the street, which is a good thing for citizens, but apparently they're still going through the process of, you know, of the legal system.
And the big concern is the young kid, right?
Yeah.
That was turned over to Child Protective Services, and that I didn't get a lot of answers. I did appreciate Benton County's ability to share with us and give us some more information in regards to the legalities surrounding this topic. But I always wonder, you know, young kid in that situation, cigarette burns, malnourished, you know, things of that nature, walking on the ice and snow when they're turned over, what happens? I'd want to make sure they're safe, they're protected, and not going to be turned back into the custody of these dangerous individuals, in my opinion. But they did encourage us to contact Benton County Prosecutor's Office if we had any more questions. So if you guys want to find out more, and you can look at MissouriCaseNet.com to see those. And if you look at the Benton County inmate lineup as of Tuesday morning at time of recording this week's show, both individuals were still in Benton County on the inmate roster, and so being held on a $100,000 bond.
Yeah. You do feel for the little kid, though. I mean, you know, what happens there, it's all sad.
Sure. All right, the biggest story of the last week or so, of course, the license plate removal. Presiding Commissioner Ike Skelton removed the camera, if you're not following, and that had caused concern of what's going to happen next. Well, according to KRMS, 2 felony counts, one a Class D stealing charge, the other a Class D tampering with service of utility or institution charge, paired with or packed with a Class B misdemeanor for obstructing government operations. So the 3 counts, they are issued. However, there's not an arrest warrant, just a criminal summons issued, and so we'll find out what happens next. I reached out to Presiding Commissioner Skelton, tried to get comment. I did not, and I did not see on CaseNet any legal representation for Skelton. I do know that Skelton's first appearance was set for April 22nd under Honorable Judge Michael Gilley. However, they issued another entry yesterday, and it looks like that date has been moved to April 11th at 9 a.m. And I would say that's because the Honorable Judge Michael Gilley had recused himself, and so now Honorable Judge Aaron Martin will appear and preside over that case. Now, that is on the 11th at 9 a.m. in Camden County, and so they'll basically have Presiding Commissioner Skelton, whether he's got, I'm sure, legal representation there. They'll tell him, or ask him, how do you plea? And then at that point in time, they'll tell him what his charge is officially or what his sentencing is.
Yeah, this is going to be fascinating because basically it's the government against the government, right? It's one part of the government against another part of the government. Our Camden County commissioner here. And when we first started talking about this story, it seemed like Skelton was not in the wrong because of county rules and regulations. And obviously the state does not agree because they're issuing these charges and stuff. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. It's just a sad note about how dirty politics is, you know, almost on every level. You know, here we are in a little, you know, Camden County, Lake of the Ozarks, and we're dealing with stuff like this, where government is going after government. Obviously, we see it on the national level, you know, with, you know, government going after Trump for 4 years or 8 years or whatever the case might be. It's what's sad about that is good people don't want to get into that. You know, good people stay out of that because it's so nasty and dirty and expensive.
Right. I think there's still questions not about the merit behind the action, but the course of action taken. I think where the questions lie. We talked about the divide it had created within the county, and it's also unclear now whether Skelton will fall under county authority in his actions, and that his legal fees will either fall on county taxpayers. But in looking into it, it looks like the county's insurance policy lists that no criminal activity will be covered under that county commission policy. So getting to felony counts, I would say that'd be criminal activity, but still questions there. We'll find out more. And with that date coming, I mean, we're literally a month away from that summons in Camden County. I mean, I'm going to try to attend that and find out there, but it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And you've got a lot of people that are Team Ike Skelton. I can see why. And there's, like I said, that great divide of if you're not 100%, not that you're not for Ike Skelton, but maybe have questions about the course of those actions, then you're against us. And I'm not for that mentality, right, that divide, but I do think that it'll be interesting to see this all play out.
So that first appearance is set for April 11th, and that is in Camden County?
Yep, in Camden County,
okay,
9 a.m.
All right, that will be interesting.
Right, and you know, the initial report from KRMS listed that it was in front of Judge Michael Gilley, and I knew this was going to be the case when those charges came out, that none of the Camden County judges between Heather Miller, Michael Gilley, and Judge Aaron Copen, none of them would touch this, right? They would not be able to proceed over this case and say there was not a bias or they weren't too close. So the right move, Honorable Judge Michael Gilley recuses himself and the new judge comes in. That's probably why that date was changed, right? Because 22nd would be a good day of the week for Camden County judges, but not necessarily the special one assigned. So interesting. And if we're going to stay with Camden County, you know, we talked about how they didn't have legal representation there for a little bit. And we talked about at the meeting how Commissioner Gohagan and Presiding Commissioner Skelton had motioned and moved on to terminate Counselor Jeffrey Green at the time. This was in January. Well, they've now, according to KRMS, the commission's been hit with a wrongful termination lawsuit from Jeff Green. The petition filed against Green alleges he was told, or the petition filed by Green alleges Green was told that a closed session on January 22nd of this year was noticed to cover legal actions to talk about how a deficiency in the county's insurance fund could be addressed. That's not exactly what took place.
No, it was during this meeting, apparently. Again, according to the petition filed, it was during that meeting that Commissioners Gohagan and Ike Skelton moved and seconded a motion to terminate Green's service effective the day before that. So obviously Green, he feels like he was caught off guard and he was not kind of informed on the truth. The petition also alleges that the county, according to the hiring contract, did not provide Green with a whole year, 365 days notice before that his services would be terminated. Apparently that was in the contract. And so the county failed to respond to letters demanding payment for services provided, and that the county failed to pay accounts owed under the contract. Green's lawsuit is asking for a minimum damages not less than $194,000 for attorney fees, court costs, litigation expenses, pre and post interest on amounts awarded by the court. So this is not a little thing, almost $200,000.
Right, yeah. And so there was rumors circulating and questions being asked was the timing of this must have been because Counselor Green, who allegedly had advised Commissioner Skelton not to take the LPR down, that maybe this was retaliatory. There were like questions because of the timing. However, I reached out to some people who are close to the commission, and this has been a long time running problem. Allegedly, the commission's not happy about some cases with some probate and some conflict of interest where Green would represent the county and the deceased through his private practice, raising concerns of lack of ethics and as I said, a conflict of interest. So there's more to the story, as there always is, and asking around, but it'll be interesting to see this one plays out, whether this one gets pleaded out of court, whether this one's dropped or what happens. But boy, what a busy week for Camden County and the Camden County Commission.
And not in a good way. I mean, all of this is distracting from, you know, normal job practices and being good for the county and all that stuff. So it's not necessarily good. And boy, yeah, it is kind of all at once, too.
And that's what I said, right? When the county as a whole, right, you have the prosecutor, the sheriff's office, and the commission somewhat unified as far as, similar thinking for the people, by the people.
Yep.
That the LPR situation, was it worth this? Because here we are, right back where we started almost 10 years ago. So the people like Greg Hastie's, the Caleb Cunninghams, the Sheriff Helms that's now gone, like they're loving this. You thought we were bad.
Yeah.
Look at the mess of your newly elected officials, and that's where we are at. So was it worth it over the LPR situation?
That's a good question. Absolutely. They're sitting back going, you guys thought you were going to be so good. Look at where you're at now. So, yeah, it's kind of a tough situation.
And I've, for the first time in years, seen former Presiding Commissioner Greg Hastie as active as I've ever seen him in the comment threads on Facebook, chiming in about how, so it'll be interesting. Of course, we'll keep you posted as these things progress. All right, in positive notes, update from developer Jeff Tegethoff. Pretty cool.
Yeah, we saw him at the dinner the other night.
He's everywhere. He was
CVB
the title
dinner.
sponsor of it.
Yeah.
He's also the title sponsor of Winterfest coming up, where he's continually, giving to these nonprofits. As much as, I tried to kind of ask questions. At this point, it's really hard not to like what the guy's doing, and he sent over an update. There's a Shootout announcement we'll get to here in a minute, but there's been some updates just in timeline, right, to Tegethoff's project.
Yeah, he says we intend to have the docks ready for the Shootout in 2025. They are being assembled off-site currently, as well as some of the accompanying boardwalk and access for the Make-A-Wish ride alongside in that works. Okay, so even though things have been slowed down on the theme park and the hotel, they're still preparing to have everything ready for the Shootout. Tegethoff says, I personally believe that the Shootout is the single most important event to bring national and even global exposure to the lake area. And I think he's correct on that. I think the Shootout is that big event. Now, the timeshare acquisitions, again, this is according to Tegethoff, the timeshare acquisitions and subsequent demolition process has delayed us a bit as well as the winter weather, but we are still on pace to open the amusement park in late spring of 2026. So that would be next year, about a year from now.
Right.
I know they had talked originally about opening it up in 2025 this year. So that's been pushed back almost a whole year. And he says they do have rides everything's being put together, but a lot of it is off-site. It's not there where the park is going to be. So if you drive by and you look at it and you don't see anything going on, he says, don't freak out. Actually, a lot of work is being done elsewhere.
He said at the CVB dinner that some of those big rides, they're being put together in sections, and other places will come in on massive trucks. Sections at a time will be loaded and pieced together, and it's going to be a sight to behold. Oh, sorry.
Well, no, and he said the hotel has been pushed back. The big Marriott, which is next door, has been pushed back a bit due to the timeshares. But now that we have those out of the way, we can blast out the rest of the rock and finish off the retaining walls. We are focused on an early 2027 opening for the hotel and the water park. And again, so that's been pushed back because they originally were shooting for 2026. That's been pushed back a little bit as well, early 2027. He said the garage and the docks are being assembled offsite, so there's a lot happening behind the scenes that people cannot see. And he also said Jeffries Road will have lane closures for a few months once they start the garage assembly. You remember they're going to have the big parking garage right there on site. He said we do not want to impede vehicle traffic for dog days during the summer, so we have decided to push that back. I mean, they could start it and cause a mess over the summer. It sounds like Tegethoff has decided we're just going to push that back. We're not going to cause a lot of problems and a mess over the summer, especially for dog days. And that's one of the reasons why things are being pushed back to the spring of next year.
That's that mindset, though. Like I said, it's hard to find a problem with what he's doing, that, we could get moved forward, but I don't want to affect dog days during their prime season.
Yeah.
So they elected to push that back. It looks like a lot going on, and I will tell you that, remember, Jeff Tegethoff is involved in the purchasing of the 33 acres. That was Johnny Morris's massive dream project, Chateau at the Lake, back in the 90s that never came to fruition. He's got big aspirations, and as we tell you, so it was nice to get that update. There are some delays, but one thing you'll start to see is over the summer, he said those rides will start to be erected, like we said. So visually, you'll start to see more, and it'll be cool, and it's right along with the Shootouts announcement here, as he alluded to in his press release or in his timeline, that now the Shootout has confirmed they've gotten written confirmation from the Missouri State Highway Patrol with their intention to grant a regatta permit for their new location there at the Grand Glaze Arm. Of course, you remember Missouri Net came out with the story a couple of weeks ago about, hey, they haven't got a regatta, lots of problems, and boy, did that get people fired up, and there were questions. Everyone kind of wondered, well, where is the regatta? There is nothing that shows it. Well, this can put that to rest, as those rumors were circulating. No permit, no new location. And Leah Martin was quoted in the announcement to say it's nice to have it in writing, and reminded people that in 2024, the event regatta wasn't even received until late July, so this is rather early. So I know they're really excited about that, and boy, did you see the mixed emotions, and I think a lot of people are excited, but you still have people that are bittersweet to see the move.
Yeah.
But for Jeff Tegethoff and all he's doing over there, that was a big vote of confidence, I'm sure, because as he said, the parking garage and the docks are the big part getting ready for Shootout.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was blown out of proportion or not, them not having the regatta permit. It seems like, according to this latest news, that it always kind of comes late in the summer or something like that. But there were a lot of people that were nervous about that. Shootout is moving to a whole new place and they don't have permits. Is it really going to happen? I even saw a couple people almost come to blows over this, So, I mean, it is big stuff, but Shootout says, yeah, there's nothing to this. We've got the, confirmation of this. Everything's going fine. They had to deal with that, get that news out there. And so there it is.
Man, the lake is growing.
Yeah.
And as I look at growth, I also think about all the great people over the years that have had so many cool things, and in attending the annual Convention and Visitors Bureau banquet last Tuesday, both of Uncle Chris and I, we were there with our wives and some of our friends, and it was really cool. Heather Brown and her crew, they do such a wonderful job. It was cool to see their efforts continue, because now they're the only self-funded DMO in the state of Missouri, meaning they don't get government money, they don't get tax dollars from, lodging tax or business districts as they used to, so they're self-funded. All of their funds come from their own efforts, and they're doing a lot of great things. If you know funlake.com, one of the best websites. People love to use that as they're coming to and from the area. Event rundown, business directory, really, really great. Well, every year at this banquet, they name an annual partner in tourism.
Yeah.
And it's always someone great, right? It's always somebody like the Blairs, the Pruitts, people that have just been in the area for years and years. And this year, they awarded Brian and Mark Barrett.
Yep.
And oh my goodness, I did not know their story.
Made me cry.
Oh, I've cried 3 times since. I told Andrew last night, I said, I just hope I can tell this story without crying. He said, you're going to cry.
Yeah.
It was special because when you think about Mark Barrett, especially, and Brian, and the restaurants they've had, I didn't know the history that for 31 years, and even before that, when they started the Salty Dog and Doghouse Grill, Dog Day Shorty Pants, and Wobbly Boots, and kind of how hard they worked and how little they had when they started and how small of an operation it is. And now you look kind of at what, especially Dog Days and Wobbly Boots and Shorty Pants have become, how many people they employ, how many charity events they host, how many charity they support. The list goes on, and I think what made it most special was getting to see Rick and Judy Barrett, their mom and dad, be the ones that told that story. Oh, so special. And no one was more deserving than Brian and Mark Barrett as being your 2025 partner in tourism for the Lake of the Ozarks Convention and Visitors Bureau. What a cool night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. It was a lot of fun. Great to see everybody there and kind of catch up with people that you don't see on a regular basis. But the story of the Barretts and how hard they worked in those early years. It's funny, a lot of times, people come in now, they see that they're a big operation. They've got all these restaurants. Oh, they were born with a silver spoon. No, they worked their butts off for years and years and years to make that all work and put it together, and they're still working that hard. It's really pretty special to see that, so congratulations.
And you got to see in the video, some of their closest friends and partners, but Clint Boyer made an appearance on the video and talked about coming to the lake and knowing them and loving them and all they had done, and it's like, every time you see one of those big celebrities, they're always at one of their places, you know, at, Dog Days or, I just thought that was funny to see him on there. Really, really cool. So congratulations to the Barretts. And again, a great job by Margaritaville hosting that event.
Yep.
Great food, really well done. And I don't think we're going to miss the CVB dinner again. That was too good.
Was pretty darn good. Yeah,
I felt so bad we had missed at least the last 3 or 4 years, and so we were glad to be back. But hey, we told you March, right? There's lots going on in March. It's March Madness, something I've wanted to do for a long time. We're finally doing it.
Yep.
The Lake TV March Madness Bracket Challenge. We're inviting you to join us and see who in the Lake area, and heck, you can be out of the area and just watch Lake TV, and you can join our bracket challenge. We've partnered with our friends at High Stakes Smokehouse, right? We're going to give away a $750 gift card to High Stakes. It's the only beef at High Stakes is upper tier, choice grade, and prime grade. They've got fresh Wagyu options, everything from board sale deli meat, fresh fish on Fridays, salmon, halibut, tuna, and their chef master, butcher, Chad. This guy's out of control. When I went in there, I tried the corned beef. Man, look out,
Pretty
okay?
good, huh?
So you're gonna wanna stay tuned. The bracket will be available starting March 16th, which I believe is Sunday, right?
Yep.
And then the challenge runs the 20th of March through April 7th, the national championship game, and the deadline to get your bracket in is on the 19th. We're gonna go ahead and tell you the password is High Stakes 25. You can find that on our Facebook and High Stakes Facebook page. Gonna be pretty good. And before we move on, I had to find out who you're picking for this year's national champion.
Wow.
On the spot.
I'm going to say Duke. I think Duke is probably going to be the team to beat. UConn has won the last couple. By the way, I think I have won the Lake TV Bracket Challenge the last couple years, and I haven't won anything. So I would like to get some of that $750 of High Stakes there, by golly.
Well, we could definitely get you some cheese to go with that wine.
I get plenty of cheese, that's for sure.
At High Stakes. So you're gonna you pick like 40 teams, like you're sure to win.
Right.
I'm gonna go with none other. Guess who?
Mizzou.
Yeah,
of course
baby.
you're going Mizzou.
This is the
That's
year.
why I always win the
This
pool.
is the year that they've got the team. They're slugging going into the SEC tournament. They're going to win the SEC tournament, and they're going to make a run at least to the Elite Eight. I don't be surprised if Mizzou doesn't gel, and we're hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. Okay. Lombardi, baby, a Super Bowl.
And the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. That's right. Yeah.
They may never win, but I'm going to go with Mizzou because I pick them every year. And this year, they've got a really deep athletic team, and it's always a 5, 6, 7, 8 seed that kind of makes a run unexpectedly.
A lot of times.
Why not us, right?
There you go.
Why not us?
If they even make the tournament, they've been so bad lately.
Please. Oh, I'm listening to CNN right now. Get out of here with that.
Fake
All
news.
right, listen, into March, not the only thing going on at basketball around the area, but there's some great events around Lake of the Ozarks, starting with this weekend, St. Patty's Day. Full day. Look, you got the boat parade, right? Over starting at Captain Ron's. They call it the St. Patty's Day Cruise and Crawl. Saturday at 9:45, boarding begins at Captain Ron's, and that night it's the pub crawl with buses beginning at 4 o'clock, 18 different stops. They ride all around the west side of the lake and have a great time. But even bigger than that, that day is the annual St. Patty's Day Lake of the Ozarks Parade live right here on Lake TV.
Yeah.
Action starts at 1 o'clock, hosted by Kevin Hilly. Kevin Hilly's a Marconi Award winner.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the biggest award, national award in radio. He won it.
And he's a Lake TV guy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Not only that, but listen, the coming up, the Lake West Business Expo with Lake Christian Academy is the end of this month on the 29th. From 9 to 4, you don't want to miss that. Mike and his crew do a great job, and a lot of vendors at that event. Lake TV will be hanging out part of that day, walking around, saying hi. And then one of the biggest that night, biggest fundraisers of the year, the annual Daybreak Rotary Winterfest. We always love this event. Is that night, 5:30, Lodge the Four Seasons, and presenting that event, Tegethoff Development as well. And I think you had a couple, or did I get them?
Just the Spring Art Show, which is March 14th through the 23rd. Stonecrest Mall, local artists, pretty cool. So a lot of great stuff happening.
Our season's here, man.
Yeah.
Like the sun is shining.
That's right. That's why I
Mizzou's
got my
making a
glasses.
run. I think we're on the same page.
The Bills are Super Bowl champions. Kansas City Super Bowl champions. And
Hey, Weekend at the Lake.
dogs and cats living
Listen,
together.
Weekend at the Lake is back on Lake TV with David Leatherberry, brought to you by our good buddy Chris Lightco. Illuminate your lakefront paradise in 2025. We'll tell you more about him, but don't miss Don Ellen Schneider from COMC on the Community Spotlight Show this week. We got that and a whole lot more on Lake TV, but that's a wrap for this week's Cup of Coffee from Slumberland at the Lake.